Yo guys, what is up and welcome back to a new video. Now, as you can see, we've had nice weather, but it doesn't seem to know if it's warm or if it's cold, and it just so happens that it's freezing. So I'm wearing a deer hunting jacket and a ridiculous woolly beanie, but all the same, we have a really sick job to do today, and I've been looking forward to doing it for a while, but lockdown got me like, I've got time on my hands. So what we're going to do today, as you can see, I've already jacked the car up. It's on axle stand, which is sat right underneath the front control arm. So that's safe, that's all sorted. I've put some pressure up on this as well. This is just a terrible jack, but it does the job, so it's okay. I've taken the side skirt off just to give me some better access. But all the same, we are completely prepped, and I'll just run you through quickly what we've got for the job, so that if you want to do it at home, that you can do that too. Now, I've obviously got the paint itself, brake clutch and parts cleaner. I've got a nice rag. Got a paintbrush that came with the kit. Got some metal wire brushes that came from Tesco's for £2, and some duct tape, and a sort of 1 meter by 1 meter tarpaulin sheet, just to avoid the driveway getting all messed up. Now I've got the toolkit to hand, wheels to the side, taken all the nuts off, put them all to one side as well to keep them safe. But more importantly, we've got a couple things to do before I can start applying paint. Now, when you start doing something like this, you're going to start by either masking off the area just to avoid getting any mess anywhere else. Don't want to ruin your lovely setup. But more importantly, it's the brake and clutch cleaner that we need to get on the caliper itself just to remove any grime. Now I'm going to jump to it now. I'm going to stick some masking tape all over the calipers itself just to try and hide up anything that I don't want painted, and obviously the brake disc just to avoid any splashback or anything similar. So I'm going to get to that now, and we should be able to get towards cleaning it. Once we've done that, we'll be all set and ready to go. Right guys, we'll see you in a bit. I'll stick on the tripod and we'll go from there. Pop the paint aside, but more importantly, like I said, the caliper itself we're going to be painting. Now I haven't got around to cleaning that yet, but seeing as we're painting this, what we're going to need to do is mask off any areas to avoid any splashback. Now the paintbrush that we've been given, it's not the most high quality of paintbrushes, but also it'll do the job. But like I said, there are so many areas that we don't want to be painting. Now number one, I've got yellow stuff brake pads, don't really want to be coating them, and if I were to go more balls to the wall with this job, I'd be taking the caliper apart itself, taking out the brake pads themselves and then doing it that way. But we're not doing that, we're doing a driveway job. I do actually have some spare calipers which we're going to be painting up professionally, powder coating them, making them look perfect. But obviously before I get a big brake set up, we're going to be doing this, as I felt that it was an important skill for me to learn. So get the tape and let's get started. Good old duct tape and Tesco's is crap. It's not sticky. I'm not going to be making a right mess, so I don't need to cover the whole thing. I'm going to be in here doing things delicately. But like I said, now we've got this that came with it. It's just basic, cheap E-Tech brake and parts cleaner. But we can spray it all over the caliper. I'm gonna wipe it down, use the metal brush, and we should be in a better position. Now I'm gonna start off with the metal brush. They come in 3 different grades. I'm gonna start with the silver. Right guys, Luke has finally woken up from an isolation hangover. He's feeling okay now, and he's come over to give some tips. So we're very lucky to be in a position where we do have some spare calipers in this bag donated by a lovely gentleman that came to one of my car meets. Seeing as we have this caliper, we can assess what we need to do to it off the car rather than fiddling around inside the wheel well. Now Luke, what do you reckon? What do you suggest?
Well, George has got a very good degreaser, so what we're going to do is basically, I'm going to show you here everything we're going to do because the caliper's already off as these ones are loose. But we're just going to give you some tips and advice and that before we actually go into taking it all off, because explaining it whilst doing it, I'll just lose concentration. So as we've got one here, it's a lot easier for me to explain. So,
it's 4 Torx bits, isn't it?
Yeah, Ford always usually use torque bits for theirs. I don't know why, don't ask. Most companies use like a, I don't know what size mill it is, but it's probably just to like strengthen it and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is, as you can see here, you've got your 2 actual caliper bolts here which hold the caliper in. As you can see, they go right through to there and there. So it's those 2 to basically take this part out, and then the rest of them are to take the actual carrier, the holder. Guys,
we're also killing 2 birds with 1 stone now. Although we are painting the calipers in this video, now seeing as we are in this position doing this to the calipers, we may as well take mine apart just to have a look at the situation.
I'll probably say the whirling noise because you've got groove discs.
Yeah, it probably is the groove discs, but that's what I think at the moment. But I'd like to just double check, so that when the isolation is over, this car is clean, pristine, and ready for a hoon.
And one thing I want to show you guys quickly is once we take the caliper and everything off from George's, a good thing to check if you have got like a leaky piston or anything like that is they've got like little seals around here, and you can pull these back and give them a good clean underneath. And if you see any brake fluid actually coming from them, then you know you've got a leak then, so you're gonna have to replace the actual seal itself or get like a whole new piston, but hopefully George doesn't have anything that's leaking.
Well, yeah, and at the same time though, if we do, we've also got spares, so we can take bits from...
Yeah, take bits from it.
You know, so that's handy. Now guys, we have swiftly discovered that we don't actually have the Torx bit necessary in my Baco toolbox. So obviously the information that we gave you about the caliper itself, you can choose to apply to yours when you go ahead and do it.
I mean, it would be nice to take everything off to show you guys, but it will help you out a lot more for those of you that don't actually have these tools yourself, because it's a good way of demonstrating. Also, George hasn't got the right tools with a little toolkit like this. So George showing you how he's going to paint the calipers is going to help you guys a lot, especially in this isolation period, because you can just go out yourself and do this now without having a big toolkit, as long as you've got a jack.
No, look, I completely agree. Thing is though, in a normal situation, Lee Lockwood style, we could have just disappeared off to B&Q, could have disappeared off to Halfords, picked up the right piece, come here and fixed it, but we're not in a situation where we can do that. In this particular instance, we're actually going to be painting the calipers on the car, and like I said, you can apply the information we spoke about this to yours if you choose to do so. So, Luke, seeing as we're in this position, I've already cleaned the caliper, so why don't you go down, just take a look and give me your professional opinion as to whether you think it's clean enough, and then we can go ahead and get started.
And to be fair, everything looks like it's really degreased, you're not really getting anything come off, like any brake dust anywhere. So we're going to get like a much better finish just from using like a wire brush and a degreaser. A lot of people don't really use that, they just use a degreaser and just spray it on themselves. So from using a wire brush, or you guys can go and get sandpaper if you haven't got a wire brush, use some sandpaper as well to get that really good finish.
It's already pretty good. But like I said, this is just a degreaser. Just gives you a better hope in hell of having your paint stick in and looking as nice as possible. Here we go. Very, very red. So let's put the lid down. Let's give it a good mix. We can go ahead and start painting.
Pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. Yeah. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store.
So I've done the first caliper, first layer's been done. I've actually got Corley on the phone at the moment, just running through with what I've just been up to. But yeah, I mean, it's looking okay. Now, one thing I do notice is that something like this is going to need to be lacquered. You can see that the paint itself, although it's obviously only one layer anyway, it's not the glossiest, thick-looking paint. So I'm just hoping that it comes out a little bit better by the time I put some more layers on. I really wish I had the Torx bit that was the right size. I would love to have got the actual brake pads out. As I can see, I've got a tiny bit of paint on the yellow stuff itself. Now, I don't know if you can see, but just down there. We'll show you later anyway. I'm letting it dry for a little bit, put a second layer on. Now I'd love to be able to turn the wheel to be able to get to the back side of it much more efficiently, but obviously the nature of the way that it's sat at the moment, I can't really turn a wheel of a car that is balanced the way it is at the moment. Now hopefully at the end of the day I can get the under tray out from under here as well, because I have actually freshened up the intercooler, sprayed Direnza on the front, but I'd like to just make sure that this under tray is perfectly black with no imperfections, so that's something I'm going to get up to as well. Right, I'm hoping now that it's done enough that we can let it dry and then potentially put lacquer on it afterwards. It's just the bits that that are hard to do are in the smallest gaps. There's a couple of edges in here, a couple of little bits in and around that I need to get to, but I would say for a first layer I've done okay. Now I will say what I said earlier again, the paint itself isn't as bright and nice looking as I would hope. I hope that changes with more layers. Now let's hope for the best. We can also apply 2 coats of lacquer later on. So that's it, first layer completely done. I'm gonna let that dry now and then I'm gonna assess it in about 40 minutes time. There's nothing I can do with the other wheel up until this one is dry, so I'm gonna go wash this paintbrush. Make sure you always do that when you're doing jobs like this, otherwise it goes minging and dry and horrible. So I'm gonna go wash that now and we'll join you guys back very shortly. Right, I've just got Corley to have a look.
Yeah.
He's here in this
These desperate measures of times.
But yeah, Corley, you take a quick look. It's been drying for a little while.
I'll touch it. Yeah, it's definitely dry. Yeah, definitely needs another.
To be fair, we could have got some really fine grit sandpaper and gone over it now, made it really smooth and then painted it again. It's just the paintbrush doesn't give the best effect.
Well, that doesn't really matter. It's just getting all the black bits painted properly. Because there's loads of brake dust on it. Did you wash it before?
Yeah, cleaned it. Hence the brake and clutch parts cleaner next to you. Don't get them on your fancy white shoes.
Oh, they're fucked anyway, mate. I don't really care.
Right, so I've just taped up the majority of the actual disc itself. Corley's just doing a final bit now, just to cover a few edges, and then we're going to lacquer it. Now guys, I will be brutally honest, you're not going to get a perfect caliper on the driveway unless you're in a position where you can take it off the car. You know, you've got some lovely paintbrushes that aren't the ones that come free with the kit itself, and you know, you've got the right tools. I've got a spare set, I've mentioned that countless times already, so obviously those are the ones that are going to be powder coated, but this is just an example for me, or at least an attempt at doing it on my driveway. It gives me something to do, and I thought it would make quite a creative video. So yeah, we're going to lacquer it now and just hope that it looks awesome. So we'll see you guys once we've done that, and then we'll get to spraying it. Right, you've done pretty well taping it up. Use this Tesco's bag for life, stick it over the shock.
Yeah. Stick these down, man.
Do you want to put some tape as well on the back of the caliper where you can see the pads? To the right. The hole in the caliper, this side, over there. There you go, do a couple of those. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want the fucking pistons getting tight, do you?
And then there's a black cloth here that can just go over the actual arm itself. And they're in the middle, down there, yeah?
Yeah, I'll try and get
Perfect. So now that's covered all the brake lines, covered everything. Let's get a little practice one in. Do you reckon that's enough?
Yeah. You don't want to layer it on too thick, maybe glosses.
Right, Corley, just while this lacquer dries, I'm just going to go and show them basically the progress. So, you've basically watched us do this pretty much for the majority of the day. We've obviously got it all complete. We did 2 layers on the red caliper paint. It is just, you know, £30 stuff off eBay or Amazon. Pretty standard stuff, to be honest. It does the job, but I just don't like the paintbrush, and the consistency of the paint isn't to my preference. We've obviously then taped up the brakes, and we've sprayed the calipers themselves with lacquer just to make them look that much more shiny. So just while that dries, I just thought I'd, you know, show this and show you where we're at. Corley's snacking on some crisps. What have you got there?
Tiny Toms, man.
We need to wait till this dries, then we can take the tape off, put the wheel on, and then the best part is putting the wheel on and lowering the car down so we can see just how cool it looks. Right, this is the exciting part. Just taking off all that damn tape that Corley's been covering my brakes in.
A pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack.
Right guys, so we just finished cleaning the wheel well now. It looks a lot better. Coilovers are clean, brake lines are clean, calipers looking fresh, brake discs are clean, spacers are clean, and the wheel well itself, and the mud flaps. So yeah, I'm going to assess now as to whether I should jump onto the back wheel now, whether I should do it tomorrow. Most likely going to do it now. So we're going to put the wheel on, and we'll show you, and see how good it looks. And then, yeah, we'll get the other one sorted. Drill. Honestly, I have no equipment at all.
Well, that was one of them oddly satisfying things, wasn't it?
And there we have it. George's first homemade paint caliper. You gonna take that? I've just given it a good clean, and it's covered in soap suds. Corley's just cleaning those off now. But yeah, once it's a little bit cleaner, we can get to getting some brake and clutch cleaner on those calipers. Clean them up as nice as possible. Wheel arch is clean. Just get the last bit of remnants off and whatnot. But yeah, the idea is to clean the caliper now. So
filthy on the top.
What, that?
No, I mean like on the top of the carpet.
Oh, this paintbrush is so shit. Mate, it's literally just dried.
Is it?
Yeah. So that's what we've got to so far. Let it dry and then we can stick some lacquer on that bad boy. There is one little bit that I've missed, I can see from here. A couple of bits actually, so I'm just going to touch them up and then we'll join you when we put the lacquer on. Done, is it? Ooh. Corley stopped doing all my jobs. Guys, for the record, I did like 90% of this myself.
Did you?
Go, so there we have it. The ST has red brake calipers. Hell yeah. What do you reckon, Corley? Do you reckon it's a visual improvement?
100%. It looks so mean now, like sporty.
Yeah. I'm glad we've got it done, but I'm just annoyed that we've got to do the other side. Obviously behind the camera, but all the same, I'm just not excited to do that tomorrow. But yeah, this looks good. I'm happy with that. Let me get everything put away. And seeing as you're heading off anyway, I reckon you should do a full send.
Yeah.
I'll show them. Guys, if you like the sound of his car when he heads off in a minute, and he does his little full send, go subscribe to his channel. He needs all the help we can get. Up and coming.
220 subs.
Right, guys.
Help me out.
This looks sick. I'm glad we've got it done. It's just an isolation job, something to do. There wasn't a tremendous amount of talking in this video, more just concentrating, but all the same, glad you enjoyed it. Smash a like on the video if you haven't already. Let us know what you think in the comment section. I'll put all the necessary details in the description section too, including Corley's channel link. But if you're new here, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully we've got something sick to come for the ST. Anyway guys, roll the outro. Peace.